You was finna be a hoe again?
No, I wouldn't. I was just gonna start talking random shit. Just for the
Mm.
fuck of it. I just hit it too as you clicked.
You gonna tell everybody all late again.
I wasn't gonna do that. I would never do that.
You
You know
did
what? And
it
I should have.
before.
That was just that time, and that was on accident, and I was just being sentimental.
Sentimental.
Oh, he probably won't let you do it because I recorded it. Hold on. Hey man, welcome to this episode of Pay the Total Boxing. I just messed that completely up. I have no idea what I just said there. All right,
You
forget
did.
it.
Oh.
I don't know. Welcome to this episode of Pay the Total Boxing. I'm Foreman.
I'm Twin. And this episode is sponsored by Thanks for Playing. You see the shirt, man. Hey, y'all don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that. You know what I'm saying? We need that.
We need that. I think we're getting hot here. We're getting the high phase. If you look at the Instagram, we're averaging about 80-some thousand views every 30 days. We rolling right now. We trying to kick it. We need y'all to kick it with us. You feel me? So, like he said, like, share, subscribe, and boom, let's get this thing jumping. So that way we can keep, talking how we talk, and eventually we'll loosen up more to talk crazy to everybody.
Southern.
And as you see, I'm obviously not at home. I am in Houston. We had George's memorial service this morning at the Wortham Center downtown. It was a great memorial service. I will say shout out to Big Will, George the Fourth, to everybody else. Shout out to him for holding it down for his brothers and sisters today as he spoke for his father's funeral. He did a fantastic job. Nobody could have did that what he did besides him. So kudos to him for sure for doing that. And where most people would look for me to apologize for some things I said on social media about some things I don't, because I still feel how I feel about that. And I would, if it was them in those same shoes, I would do it for them and anybody 3 times over. So, nonetheless, with that being said, we had a fantastic boxing weekend, my boy.
Indeed.
We had a fantastic boxing weekend. There was a lot of boxing on this weekend. But I think for this episode, we're just gonna have to laser focus on these two particular fights. I think that's the best way to kind of go about that. I think we just gotta laser focus on these two fights because the main two fights had major implications for a lot of things that went on. So I think that's just the most, because we can go into in depth now about both of these guys for where they are in their careers. So, any objections to that?
Nope.
All right. Well then, all right. So, on the co-main or the undercard of Boots and Stanionis, Raymond Ford versus Thomas Mattice for that fight. Raymond Ford pitched a shutout. I don't think anybody is questioning that. What did you think about it when you first started watching it?
By round 3 or 4, I was like, I could stop watching this because I know where this going. So yeah, it was domination the whole
Yeah,
fight.
it was domination to the point that I thought we was finna go home a little early.
Mhm.
I thought. That's what it was looking like. We just we did not go home. The work rate was up though, for sure. The work rate was still, the hand speed is still blazing. Obviously coming up from 126. He looks in shape, he looks comfortable, he looks good. Um Fought inside of pockets very, very well, moved out of space very, very well, shifted himself in a great position, the punch selection. There was so many things going on from Raymond Ford, which we see where that sparring experience of just hanging around Shakur hanging around Terrence Crawford, all of them hanging around great each other. We got a chance to see that on display.
Yeah, you saw that a lot with like Amir Khan and Andre Berto, with people with like hand speed when their opponents basically froze and they
Yeah.
don't want to throw back, or they just want to cover up. That's what happened a lot of that fight. When Ford was throwing, catching him in between movements and everything is, yeah.
I mean, I think they said a stat like for a 10 round fight, he landed the fewest punches and he threw the fewest punches in a 10 round fight. Like Matisse, I don't know what was going on in Matisse's head at a point. Not to say that the few punches he did land, but they were. So he could have success. He was just like you said, the hand speed. He was just blown away by the hand speed, hands down, and there was nothing else it seems that he could do about that. Um, Now with that fight concluding and all of that, this is Raymond Ford's second fight at 130. All right, former champion. Now it's time to get busy. So, with Oshaki looking like he's getting ready to fight Stephen Fulton, that's the negotiations at least going on right now. Um, what are we looking at for 130 for Raymond Ford?
Well, before we get into that, were they talking about stripping Fulton, right? If he do that fight, or
At 126. They were stripping Fulton at 126. So, since because he's going to fight Oshaki. Now, Raymond Ford, today, today is Monday. Today, on Twitter, he was telling Oshaki, like, hey, bro, I'm coming for it. And Oshaki was like, nah, I'm trying to get Shakur. And Shakur's like, no, I think you need to go holler at my homie. He called you out, not me. I'm worried about somebody else right now, which is true in a whole different division. Uh, is that a money grab in a sense where Oshaki's trying to get to? Not to say that he's not confident he feels like he can't win, but what do you think that is?
I think it is. I think it's a reach for the one of the bigger names that you can get, or
Uh,
you can get and try to get him because he, respectfully, he don't want that.
Nah, and Oshaki's good. That's the thing about it. Oshaki is good. It's just he's such a counterpuncher. He wouldn't fare well in that fight at all. I don't see him faring well in that fight at least.
Uh-uh.
And that's not a knock to his skill by any means or any stretch. The boy got hands, and we saw it. Even when they took the first fight from him, when they took the championship from him, the boy got hands. We knew what it was. I just don't think that particular person is a good motive for him at all. So Raymond Ford looked like he's going to be another player at 130. Any objections to that?
Nope. Bring them
Okay.
all. I need everybody that's a willing participant. I
I
need
need
all smoke. I need all fights. I need everybody to fight twice a year at the minimum.
3 times. I am a 3 times a man
You,
year, so
so
I'm not.
you went greedy.
I need 3 a year. I need 3 a year. Think about it like this: if a man fights 3 times a year, if for a 10 year span, that's 30 fights, fam. That's the bare minimum you can give us. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? That is the bare minimum.
If they
So
did, if we had that volume, that many fights, you wouldn't have all this talk. We can discuss another way to get rid of it. We on the same page, but
it,
you wouldn't have all that talk of weight bullies because they fight too much to be a damn weight bully, just like they did back in the day
weight
when
because weight bullying's not real anyway, as it is. But
when when Tommy Hearns and all them boys fighting 3-4 times a year, it wasn't no weight bully because they was on weight all the time.
they
So.
walk, they people, they walked around that way because they weighed in the same day. So there wasn't no such thing as a weight bully. Like I made this weight. Weight bully not real anyway. That's just a term where people try to make excuses for somebody. That's all that is. That's just stupid. Stupid. So if you're scared, just say that. That's all I got. Now, that's the dumbest things. Also Saturday, the main event of the Matchroom card in the return of Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Boardwalk Hall. We had JARON Ennis versus Eimantas Stanionis. As I did the fighter breakdowns for both of those fighters, I gave both my objections of what both fighters do well, what they were looking for as far as, on their own manner, not what the fighter did wrong or anything else like that, what they were looking for to succeed, what they were looking to gain in both of these fights. Now, JARON Ennis did exactly what I said. He's Mr. I can do it all. And if you play in the pocket, he'll catch you in the pocket. And he did catch you in the pocket. A lot. A lot of catching in the pocket. Took some hits on the way in, you know. Obviously, a lot of that comes with being in front of it. A lot of wasted movement on his part. But JARON Ennis gets the signature highlight win that he has been looking for since he became a player at 147. Seriously. JARON Ennis is not the topic right now. And for that part, I'm going to have to let Twin have it because he's pretty upset.
I almost expected him to say his name wrong. Stanionis.
Eimantas Stanionis. That's just because I had to hear it 1,000 times before I got it right.
Nah, I almost said stank, but I ain't want to do it. Stanionis, you and your corner come to the front of the congregation.
Dun, dun.
There is no blueprint. There is no blueprint to beat Boots in this because he hasn't beaten as a professional.
But there are ideas.
But I tell you what won't beat him.
Oh, Lord.
If you walk in that ring in the original high guard and shut up when he punch you, it ain't no chance in blue hell that
Zero?
you gonna Boots in this. Hell,
Oh,
he over there. I say the same thing about Tank. A person that fights in the high guard, the classic high guard, and shell up when the punches get thrown at them would not beat Boots and would not beat Tank. It ain't happening. And Stanionis stood in that ring, and every time Boots threw punches, he shelled up in the high guard. And I was like, what the hell is this? Because if you look at the fights where Boots got trouble, they were trying to beat Boots to the jab.
yeah.
They were punching when he punched, and they was exchanging at the same time and beating Boots to the punch because everybody knows Boots' liability is his defense. Stanley was shelling up. I'm like, bro, he teeing off. Like, you just let... that couldn't have been the game plan. He threw the game plan out the ring when he walked in there. That's what I'm convinced of. Because
I know that was not Freddie Roach's
I
game
know
plan.
he didn't send
I
it
just know it was.
that ring.
I know that was not Wild Cards Boxing Club's game plan. I know that was not Wild Cards Boxing game plan. I just know it wasn't. There's, and the thing is he could have built on his own last fight to where for what he established against Maestre, and
Yep,
he didn't even do that. He could have built
bro.
off of what
Bro, his last
Aaron
fight,
Shukajan did against Boots. He didn't do that.
standing on his last fight, he was popping the jab. He ain't
Significantly.
do
Lots
shit.
of them. Hundreds of them. Thousands. I mean, just going. And we could not get nothing. I don't know, man. I don't
I'm
know
so
about
disappointed in him. I credit the Boots. Boots came in, did what he was supposed to
it.
do,
Boots
but
absolutely handled business like he was supposed to. He called a
that
body.
fight should have been more competitive than it was.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Now that we've got that out the way, and now we have a two belt holder in the 147 division. I'm not gonna say unified no more. It is gonna have to take my dad to come out here to explain why I need to stop saying unified. Because you know what, he has a point. The old guys have a point when they talk
Wait,
about
is
unified.
is it? It might be another reason, but is it because he got an email belt and he didn't fight?
No, it's not. It's not even because of the email bill. And because they look at it as unified as having everything still, along unified undisputed champion. They look at that as one way. So I can understand wholeheartedly why the old guys look at it like that. Yes, we're using the term unified to say like, person has multiple belts, but is a division really unified if the belts are still split?
Nope.
So that I, as soon as he said it to me, what was it yesterday? I said, you know what? I get it. I'm not even gonna argue that. I get totally why you just said what you said, so I'm gonna let him have it. With that being said, now that we have a two belt slash three, I'm not giving that full three because Ring Magazine belt is supposed to be a writer's belt, and we know the writers have been extremely biased for a lot of things lately. But now that we have a two belt holder in the division, Is Boots the clear number one runaway?
Yep.
Okay. So with Brian Norman and Barrios, the only two players left here in the division. Brian Norman, outside of when he fought Quentin Randall, that was an ugly fight. Then his next fight, he looked great and he gets the belt because Terrence Crawford vacated, obviously moved up and stuff like that. And then the fight he had again the other week on the undercard of Mayer and Ryan rematch. He looks fantastic again. He's had back-to-back fantastic showings since he's been out, since getting that belt. He's improved significantly. I guess that, like they say, once you become a champion, things about you change differently. He has looked that much better. Barrios, he lost, and he lost back-to-back, obviously, against Davis and then against Keith Thurman, completely outclassed by Keith Thurman. So I'm not gonna hold that. We talked about Keith and his style. That's a whole different ballgame. But he had those hard fights, but he is the champion at 147. That's where he's at. Where, outside of Boots, how do you see Brian Norman and Barrios if they clash? Mm, deep breaths. Damn.
If they
Mm,
clash, if they
if,
if they fight,
yeah.
Brian Norman will win.
Okay. Hmm.
I don't.
You don't
I
think
don't.
the metal of Barrios can really shake Brian Norman?
Not at this point. Not this Barrios. No.
Interesting.
Maybe a few years ago, but now no.
Was it
But
because of the showing he had on the undercard of that Tyson and Jake Paul fight?
it's that combined with versus Tank, then versus Keith. It's like if you continue in big moments that happens to you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna really lean on your championship medal or your experience because your experience under the big spotlight has been that you lose or
Okay.
you great showing. So I'm not gonna depend on that, even if it is against Brian Norman, which Brian Norman hasn't been under the brightest of lights yet. He hasn't fought a Boots or even a Barrios to that magnitude. So
Okay. I
I would
can
think
I,
Brian
I can
Norman.
give you that. I can give that wholeheartedly. I understand their reasoning. I do think I do think because Barrios had been under those bright lights, not once but twice. So I give him a little credit for that, a lot of credit for that, because those lights can get bright and they hot. They are hot in that ring. And so it's a lot to think about. You gotta, so I give him credit on, you know what? I've been here before. I've been here twice. I'm not going to let this go three times away. So I'm going to give him some credit there. Now, obviously, they're not fighting or we know anything about them fighting. So I can't give any people a style breakdown on how that looks. But
I don't think
uh,
they will. I don't know if any of them are gonna fight.
now that's here we are now. Now here goes to the next part. Now that Boots has established himself, as, hey, I got two. The rest of y'all got one. Let's get this. Let's talk turkey again. Do we go back to the $2 million offer again for Brian Norman, or do we go to Are we looking at? And does he accept it? Does Brian Norman accept it this time? Because there's nowhere else for those guys, neither one of those guys to go. Simple as that. Anything else is just putrid, and I don't care to see it.
I would think so because Brian Norman and Boots are they're not in the same boat, but they're similar. Just because of their age and their body style, if they fight, whoever loses is gonna probably say, "Weight drain. I'm going to 54." Especially if it's Boots, that he
Okay.
wouldn't have
Okay.
another. He, if you listen to Boots after he won, I was like, you that close to being undisputed, and you basically, when asked if that's next, you like, I don't know, but we'll see, or maybe 154. Like you that close to undisputed, and you don't want it. It's kind of like I don't know if they're gonna even fight.
That's fair. I can see that. Brian Norman says he's comfortable at 47 as the interview he did uh, the other day with Brunch Boxing that I listened into. He said he was comfortable at 47. He explained the money situation, what it was the last time. So I'm looking forward to him now that these negotiations are on the table. They're like this, that's it. I don't want to hear anything. Like, I'm not saying don't get chunked out your money. I'm not saying that because, in boxing, you don't get what you're worth, you get what you negotiate. So I'm not saying get chunked out your money, because they got the belt. You got a belt, they got two, they want another one, and they're going to want another one. So everybody has leverage here for how it goes. So it's up to Eddie and them to figure out, what we got to do to make Jaron Ennis a real superstar as far as the boxing. Because Jaron Ennis has the makeup of everything. He looks good, style's flashy, fan friendly. He has it all.
Speaks
So,
well. Yeah. If they don't, I feel like they don't have a choice. But we've seen stranger shit in boxing, and if they don't fight next, out of the three, any one of them, I'm gonna take 160,
hmm
take them down one, and put 147 right above them in the worst division in boxing. And that's how, especially if Boots wasn't in 47, they would already beat up to me. I'm sorry, but you can't have a three belt champion and then two more fighters, and they don't fight. Like even the Barrios and I'm just saying. At least we know Adamas and them at 60, he'll fight. But I don't know if these other cats are even getting the ring together. So it's like I gotta move them up top if that don't happen. Don't go and find me nobody from 10 to 15 welterweight ranks and make them Barrios or anyone. Nobody. I don't want to see that.
ladies and gentlemen, Twin has spoken. That's all I've got.
Them from like 15 or 16, and you got Norman or Bar fight them. Nah, I'm good.
Oh my God. This man said I'm going to take 160 and drop them down one and moving 147. Ladies and gentlemen, that is this recap of the Matchroom card this weekend. My voice is cracking because I just don't know. Um, oh my God. Um, okay, that's what I've got. We're gonna obviously have to record again another day this week. Oh my God. And to see what fight we got. What's this, the 18, 19? I can't think of what fights are coming up, but I do know there are fights coming up this weekend. And as always, I think Pro Box got a card. I think Country Box got a card for sure. I watch everything. Um, Lots of boxing coming up though, for sure, heading into the summer. And then we can start working on the preview of Inaway in Cardenas, even though nobody wants to see it. And then and I still like watching. I'm gonna watch it because in a way it's still entertaining to watch. So there's no ifs ands. But I want to see it because he's entertaining. And then you're gonna hate this, but we're gonna have to get into the Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, and Teofimo Lopez and Andrew and Arnold Barboza Jr. We're gonna have to get into that and break that down thoroughly, fight for fight, on what it is for these guys. Hey,
You know what? I don't.
we're trying to gain, we're gaining the people. We're working, people are liking us eventually.
You know
I'm
what?
not I'm not saying it's right, but I
We,
understand.
we got storyline. All them fights got storylines. I ain't mad at it.
They do.
But
It's fun. Every single fight has a storyline within itself, and then there's the implicated storylines right after that. So everybody has their thing.
because it's always a what if this fighter loses? Like what's next? But
Correct. Because what if Tiafimo lose? You
if
know what? I'll wait. I'm gonna wait.
we
I'm
talk
gonna wait on that.
Joe Ryan and Devin, those are bigger than what if they lose. It's like nah, like For real.
Yeah, like if they lose, like, hey, we got something to talk about here. For real, for real. Because if
Mhm.
Ryan really loses to Rolly, oh my God, I think the internet might break that day.
Hey, you know what? I think that's gonna be an entertaining fight. I'm not saying
I
it's
think
gonna.
so. I'm honestly and wholeheartedly, all jokes aside, that fight is going to be entertaining
I don't
for
think
sure.
it's not gonna be technically good. It's not gonna
No,
be beautiful to watch, but it's gonna be entertaining.
but they are going to fight. Like I'm cool. I'm cool. So with that, thank y'all again for watching Pay the Toll Boxing. Please continue to like, subscribe, share, do all of that. I probably need to do something for the beginning and say, hey man, welcome to Pay the Toll Boxing. And I'll probably record that last. But nonetheless, peace out. Rest in peace, George. Buried my guy today. I didn't really have too many. Yeah, celebration. It is a celebration of life. I can get that. We throw balloons and celebrate the life of the superhero man himself who swung at a lion, literally, and lived to tell the story afterwards because the lion got scared of him. Like, hey, that right there. Anybody that can swing fists at a lion and say I live to tell a story, absolutely, my boy. So appreciate y'all and all that.